everyone. I'm Tony Merida, pastor of Imago Dei Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Also serve as vice president for theological training for Acts 29. And I'm going to be reading some excerpts of my new book, The Faithful Church Planter, 11 Essential Competencies for the Work, published by my good friends at 10 Publishing. And this is the first of several books that they are publishing in partnership with us in Acts 29. And so these 11 competencies are the competencies that we use in Acts 29 to train and assess church planters. They cover some of the essential characteristics and skills that's needed for those aspiring to church planting. And so I'd like to read the introduction. One of the joys of my ministry career has been training aspiring church planters around the world. For instance, in Kiev, Ukraine, I had the privilege of teaching a group of church planters at Kiev Theological Seminary each year for about 15 years. The church planting program was started by my friend Joel, now retired and living in Indiana, who had a vision for seeing churches planted across the former Soviet Union. One of my favorite memories was when we were doing student introductions and testimonies. A brother named Emmanuel, a massive man from Lithuania who had spent time in prison, shared about his rough former life. He said that the only time he opened a Bible in those days was to use its pages to smoke various substances, and now he's opening the Bible to preach it. How do you go from smoking the Bible to preaching the Bible? It's because Jesus Christ came to save sinners. Due to Christ's work in his heart, Emmanuel became a humble and gentle leader. God can change the most hard-edged sinners, the vilest of men and women, and turn them into ambassadors for Christ. He took Paul from being a terrorist to being a pioneer evangelist and church planter. And God is still doing this transforming work today. Sure, one may not have a history in prison or a story exactly like Paul's. Still, everyone's story is powerful because God has taken those who are spiritually dead and made us alive together with Christ. When I'm talking to strangers, the question often comes up, so what do you do? I love to have them guess. They almost never guess pastor. I like to tell them, I'm more surprised than you are. The grace of God truly is stunning. The fact is that you never know where the next great ministry leader may come. He may be a rebellious church kid right now, or a freshman at your local college, or a little hipster at the coffee shop, or the high school kid who is sneaking off campus to smoke e-cigs. Jesus Christ can take a mess of a person and turn them into a messenger of life. That's because the gospel still works. It is still the power of God unto salvation. As church planters and ministry leaders, we must have an unshakable confidence in this gospel. In addition to being a converted person, a church planter needs to have some other essential qualities. While many of the traits of a church planter are similar to the qualifications for pastoral ministry in general, there are some distinct gifts, skills, and experiences found in church planters. The 11 competencies identified here are the current competencies that we use at Acts 29 for assessing church planters. This list contains a good bit of overlap, but I believe it's valuable to address each one respectively. Others have identified more than 11 traits of a church planter, but we have found these particular competencies to serve church plants and church planting teams well. This concise book is intended to give an introduction to each one. The primary audience for this book is church planters, but much will apply to those on church planting or church ministry teams. I have tried to flatten my application in various places where the principles apply to a broader audience. Pastors of established churches may also benefit from this book as we consider the work of pastoral ministry throughout. Finally, faithful church members are encouraged to read along as well, since many have never read or studied about church planting in detail. A book like this will bring clarity to the church's mission, will show how everyone can in some way engage in church planting, and may even ignite a passion for being part of